Hey guys, and welcome to this video on tree traversal. So here we want to give the pre-order, the in-order, and the post-order traversal of the tree below. And in the green here, we have our tree. So let's go ahead and get started by traversing it using Preorder Traversal. All right, so Preorder Traversal basically works like this. First, you visit the node and you print the value. Then you go as far left as possible. And then you go as far right as possible from that node. All right. And so that's the algorithm that we're going to basically use. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with our root node, and then we're going to traverse the tree from there. So first thing we do is we print the value 67. Okay, now we go to the left of 67 and we see the node that contains the value 22. So we print 22. We go to the left of that. We see the node that contains the value 33. So we print 33. And we go to the left of that. We get to the node that contains the value 24. And then we go to the left of that and we get to our null value. So there is a null value here. All right, now we're going to go back up to that node 24 and we're going to go to the right of it, and we see that it too is null. Okay, so we go back up to the node 33 and we have went as far left as possible on this node. So now we're going to go to the right and we see the node that contains the value 80. So we print 80. Then we go to the left of 80 and we see the node that contains the value 11. So we're going to print 11, and then we're going to go to the left of 11, but we get to null. So we're going to go back up to 11, then we're going to go to the right of 11 and we get null. So now we went as far left and right on the node 11. We're going to go back up to our node 80 and we're going to go as far right as we can on node 80, but that's null. So we're done with 80 as well. So now we're going to go back up to 33. We have went as far left and as far right on that node as possible. So we are done with 33. We need to go back up to the node that contains 22, and we're going to go as far right on that node because we already went as far left as possible. And we get to the node that contains the value 52, so we print 52. Then we're going to go as far left on 52 as possible, but that's null. So now we need to go back up to 52 and go as far right on that node as possible, but that's null as well. So we're done there. And we go back up to 52, then we go back up to 22. And now we've finished going as far left and as far right on the node 22. So we go back up to our root node, which was which contains the value 67, and we're going to go as far right as possible. So we go to 15 and we're going to print the value 15. And now we go as far left as possible on 15, but it's null. So we're done there. Now we're going to go as far right of 15 and we reach 86. So we're going to print 86. And then we're going to go as far left on 86 as possible. So we get to 75. So we print 75. And we go as far left on 75 and it's null. So now we're going to go as far right as we can on 75. It's null. So we're going to go back up to 86 and go as far right as possible on 86. It's null. So now we're done with 86 as well. And we're done with 15. And we are done with 67. All right. So now we have printed out the values in the tree in pre-order, or using Preorder Traversal. Okay. So next, let's do the in-order traversal. And so the in-order traversal kind of works like this. You're going to go as far left as possible first. Then you're going to print your value. And then you're going to go as far right as possible. Okay, so again, we start at the root node, which is 67. We go as far left as possible. So we go to the left of that. We get to 22. We go to the left of that. We get to 33. To the left of that, we get to the node that contains 24. And to the left of that, we get to null. Now we're going to go back up to the node that contains 24, and we're going to print that value. So we print 24. Now we're going to go as far right as possible of 24, and we see that it's null, so we can go back up to 33, and we can print 33. Now we're going to go as far right as possible on 33, so we get to 80. When we get to 80, we need to go as far left as possible, so we get to 11. When we get to 11, we need to go as far left as possible, so we get to null. So we're going to go back up to our node 11. We're going to print 11. Then we're going to go to the right of 11, or as far right as we can, which is null as well. So we're done with that node. We need to go back up to 80, and now we're going to print 80 because we went as far left as possible on 80. And now we're going to go as far right as possible. Well, to the right of it contains a null value. So we are now done with our node 80, and we have went as far right as possible on 80. So now we're going to go back up to 33. We have went as far left as possible and as far right as possible. So we're going to go back up to 22. So we're done with going left on 22. So we need to print that value 22. Now we need to go as far right as possible. So we go to 52. And when we get to 52, we need to go as far left as possible. And we see that it's null. So we go back up to 52 and we print 52. Now we're going to go as far right as possible. And we see that it's null. So we're done with that node 52. And we're going to go back up to 22. And we're done with 22. We went as far left and as far right. So now we go up to 67. And we're going to print 67 because we went as far left as possible on the node that contains the value 67. Now we're going to go to the right of it. We get to 15. And when we get to 15, we're going to go to the left of it. And we see that it contains the value null. So we go back up to 15 and we're going to print 15. All right. Now we need to go as far right of 15. So we get to 86. When we get to the node that contains 86, we go as far left as possible. So we get to the node that contains 75. And when we get to the node that contains 75, we go as far left as possible again. And we get to null. So now we go back up to 75 and we're going to print the value 75. And we're going to go as far right as possible, which is null. So we're going to go back up to 86 and print the value 86. And then we're going to go to the right of 86. We see that it's null. And so we're done with that node as well. We go back up to 15. We went as far possible, as far right as possible and as far left as possible. And we go back up to 67 and we're done. We went as far left and as far right as possible. So we're done traversing the tree using Inorder Traversal. All right. Now let's take a look at the post-order traversal. So for post-order, we want to go as far left as possible. Then we want to go as far right as possible. And then we want to print our value. All right. So again, we start at the root node, which contains the value 67. We're going to go as far left as possible. So 67, 22, 33, 24 till we get to null. Then we go back up to the node that contains 24. And we're going to go as far right as possible. And then we're going to go back up to 24 and print that value. So now we're done with 24 because we went as far left and as far right as possible and then printed the value. Now we go back up to 33 and we need to go as far right as we can on 33. So that's 80, or that's the node that contains 80. And then we go as far left on that node and we get to the node that contains 11. And the node that contains 11, we go as far left as we can. It contains the null value. So we go back up to 11 and then we check the right side. So we go as far right as possible and we see that it's null. So we now print the value 11. All right. And now that we're done with that node, we go back up to 80 and we go as far right as possible. So we see that it's null. So we go back up to 80 and we print 80. Okay. Now we're done with that node. So we go back up to 33 because we went as far left and as far right already. So we're going to print the value 33. All right. And now we go back up to 22 and we go as far right as possible. and we get to 52. 52, we go as far left as possible, it's null. And then we go as far right to 52 as we can, and it's null. So we're just going to print 52. And then we go back up to 22. We went as far left and as far right as we possibly can, so we print 22. And now we go back up to our root node, which contains the value 67, and we're going to go as far right as possible. So we go to 15. We get to 15, we go as far left as possible, it's null. So we go back up to 15 and we go as far right as possible. We get to 86, and 86 we go as far left as possible, so we go to 75, and 75 we go as far left as possible, so we get to null. And then we go as far right of 75 as possible, so it's null as well, so we're going to print the value 75. Now we go back up to 86 and we go as far right as possible, which is null. So we go back up to the node that contains 86 and we print that value. And now we're done with 86, so we go as far back up to 15. And we already went as far left as we can on 15 and as far right as we can. So we're going to go and print the value 15. And now we're done with that node. And then we go back up to 67, and we have visited every single node on the left side, and we have visited every node on the right side. So we now print the value 67, and we are done. All right. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave any questions you have in the comments section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and you can click on that subscribe button if you found this video helpful. And also, please share the video if you think it can help others as well. And as always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.